Good evening, guys. This is Mr. Landers from Shadow to the Light, and I want to ask you a question. Do you ever feel pressured to drink? Do you ever feel pressured when you're out on a social event or even with old friends or new friends? Do you feel the pressure to drink? Now, what about if, like myself, you've decided to stop drinking, drink don't play a role in your life anymore? Let's say you're wanting to go down a different course in your life where maybe alcohol played a role in your life that wasn't serving you anymore, and then you've decided to just basically not drink. Now, I talk to a lot of people who've took this decision, and I go, how's it going? Being a coach, opening a centre that's all around recovery. I always like to get some information of what people's journey was, how difficult their challenges were, etc., etc. And what I've been hearing a lot of, and it's probably not shocking to people, but if you think that men, especially women as well, but I just want to focus a little bit on men because that's the people I've been hearing a lot of these reasons of why they feel pressure not to stop drinking is they're looked at as if they're not trustworthy. They're looked at that they have to somehow be one of the lads, be one of the boys that, let's say if you're part of a football team, let's say if you're part of a rugby team, let's say if you're part of a golf club, somehow because society has made it the norm that in order to be one of the gang, one of the crew, one of the boys, you must be able to just knock them back, and somehow that's a badge of honour. Now, I was speaking to someone the other day, and it shocked me. He's a real, what you call a guy's guy, man's man, and he's been off the drink for a few years. And he told me that at the beginning of his journey, shall we say that he would have to literally fill empty bottles of beer up with water. So in front of his friends or in front of others, it looked like he was still drinking. This is why, if you think about it, the non-alcoholic market is such a huge market because people are feeling like a pariah almost if they order a juice or if they order a tea or if they order a coffee. Now, personally speaking, I can vouch for that because I've been dry now for 6 years, and it was difficult because first and foremost you have pressure, you have internal pressure. But if you had a problem with alcohol and you have to go back out into that big wide world and engage socially, what you will find is you're already, some of us, not all, may face anxiety about being around, maybe triggering situations, triggering environments, maybe your friends, how you remember being with them, it was all around alcohol. And that brings in itself some kind of anxiety, some kind of pressure. And then you get guys who just generally, they're okay, they don't feel anxious, but what they do feel is judged if they're not seen as one of the lads. So that brings another pressure to it. So the non-alcoholic market is flooding millions into advertising, millions into, creating this niche where people who choose not to drink, it's another option for them. Personally speaking, as a coach, and everyone's journey is different, I stay away from the stuff because why do I want to possibly trigger, myself? The way I look at it is if I've separated from a toxic relationship, I'm not going to keep going to them old dating joints that I used to go with that person. It doesn't make sense to me. But as I said, my journey is completely different to other people's journey. So what I want to raise here is a couple of things. When you decide to quit alcohol, for whatever reason that may be, stand in that space as a guy, as a lady, stand in that space. Now I want to park to the side that high-end jobs, when you're comping, when you're taking clients out, you're somehow expected to gain confidence. If you think of Wall Street and the city and these high-end jobs, you're expected to drink and like for like. But park that aside for the moment. If you're just a regular guy and you just want to quit booze, whether it's like 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, a year, whether it's for the rest of your life, you must own your decision. And you can start off with just, I'm on antibiotics tonight, I just don't feel like drinking, I'm the designated driver. You can put out all of these reasons, but there will come a moment where you have to own that decision. And for me, I think it's better to own it sooner rather than later. Now, another thing I'd say, not a lot of people want to hear this, is if you've got a real bunch of friends who actually like you for who you are, most of the time what will be a surprise to some guys is their mates will probably prefer them when they're not out of control drinking. Let's say if they've had a problem with booze, because normally what happens when you do have a problem with booze, you end up being a bit of an arse and you can't see it until you just reflect back when you stop drinking and go, Jesus, was I really that bad? And then you'll get a mate come up to you and go, yeah, you were, but we didn't really want to say anything. So you're building up this importance in your own head about how you'll be judged if you stop drinking, where honestly, sometimes your mates are too polite to say anything if you do continue drinking. So that's another thing. The most important thing I want to say here, and I've said this to a few people, when you decide to quit drinking, as a man or as a woman, the one thing that you will have to always put in place, and I'm in the structure end, is get ready for everything around you, relationship-wise, your interpersonal relationship with others, your teammates, your friends, your partner, will change. So there's no point in denying anything about what's going on when you decide to quit. It's forever changing the way you'll be with your friends. It's forever changing the way you'll be with your wife. It's forever changing the way you'll be with your kids. And if you start off by owning that decision and saying, I'm going to burst this out, tell the world, I'm just going to stand in my decision, own my decision, and not have anything that's hiding, i.e. the guy with the bottle of beer drinking water, making it look like it's boozing, the non-alcoholic, it looks like non-alcoholic beer, still looks like you're drinking. So you just have to go, I'm owning this decision because the first time in my life I'm doing something for me. And that's when you decide to quit alcohol. You're doing it for loved ones, you're doing it for, to strive and thrive in your life. But people who get in trouble with alcohol, they fundamentally have to do the work and the quitting of the alcohol for themselves. And that's where you have to stand in that zone, in that position. So I hope this little video helps. It was just, I was hearing some guys just almost feeling ashamed about quitting alcohol. There's nothing to be ashamed of about seeking to improve your life. And that, for me, is where we should all come from. My name is David Landers. I'm a coach. Look out for the Shadow to Light Centre opening in August. We would love you to come down. We're going to be doing some free introductory workshops. We mainly work around continued recovery, device addictions, and getting beyond toxic relationships and putting plans in place and structures in place to help people move on and progress with their lives thereafter. Thanks very much for listening, guys. Have a good evening. Take care now.